Is this the hottest wing you have? I used to own a wing joint. Nothing fancy, but a good selection of wing flavors and beer. Inevitably we would have people come in and order the suicide wings. I like super spicy foods, so these were pretty damn hot. Of those people, about 5 to 10% would always start the joke, sarcastic conversation. These aren't that hot. Can't you do better? Yuck. 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 One of my best regulars, a dentist who fancied himself a gardener, decided to help us out and planted a ghost pepper bush. At the time the hottest pepper in the world. And he could bring us the bounty of his harvest, and he would intentionally underwater the bush so the peppers would be as hot as they could be. When he would bring us the peppers, I would grind them, seeds and all, into a nice paste which I would combine with our suicide sauce and keep to the side for when our spicy wing connoisseurs would show up and complain about the suicide sauce not being hot enough. I would only serve them one death head wing. Seemed a fitting name. I would make them wear gloves to eat it to prevent capsaicin burns on their skin. I would specifically tell them about the heat they were about to get into, trying to dissuade them from eating this culinary monstrosity. By the time we got through all this, every single person always now viewed this as an insult to their manhood. Never had a woman complain about heat, but would sometimes actually ask if there was another level they could try, and could not be stopped from eating this wing. So they did. The fun thing about capsaicin oil is it can often take a few seconds to kick. Usually just enough time for the person to scarf down the wing and start to smugly tell us how it wasn't that hot. And then the heat would begin. And once it started it was relentless. The wing was free, but the cup of milk after was $20. I never had a single person ask for a second one. When you need to tap out, don't let your pride get in the way. That's something I learned firsthand with one place's wings of death. Probably Reaper. Not going down that road again. I literally did this same thing. We randomly got wings shipped instead of normal chicken and had to keep it at the restaurant I managed. So we briefly made a special, and of course everyone was like, finally wings, which they took forever to prep in our small place. I had one guy who would never hush about wanting wings or super spicy chicken fingers, kids meal item that doesn't exist, and demanded to hottest wings we could make. I asked if he was sure he wanted that hot because the head chef was from Mexico. I can't remember the region, but it's where hot food is standard, and even smelling it made me cry. Of course he says yes. So those wings got drowned in 7 spices and sauces plus the chef's own personal spice sauce that made every server look like it was a funeral. I gave him the extra ranch and milk for free and he never bothered us again. Ha. Sounds like fun. I love spicy wings, but I prefer them to have flavor. I remember me time I was in Pittsburgh attending a college football game. My dad, his buddies, and I went to a 3-story building restaurant called Ugly's. I had to sign a waiver, but I ordered something called Dancing with the Devil. I believe it was an order of 6 or 8 of their spiciest wings. I believe I ate 4 of those before I couldn't handle it anymore. I offered the rest of the wings to the table. My dad said he took 1 bite and couldn't taste anything the rest of the evening. I think that's why I try to opt for second hottest. Usually it's flavorful and has some heat. Freshman year of college I had a chocolate habanero plant growing in my room. They were very spicy. And I say that as someone who grew up eating spicy food. I didn't go through them that quickly. So if my roommates wanted one they were free to take some. One day, I'm out of my room when a roommate has a friend over. He sees the plant and asks about it. My roommate tells him about how even I find them spicy. And his friend responds with, "Your roommate is a bitch. I bet they're not that hot." He plucks one and takes a bite. And pretty soon he's tearing up and his nose is running. It was very satisfying to hear the story later on. This reminds me of a story. Not MC. From about 10 years ago. I had 2 roommates, and we were all into spicy foods. I returned from work one day, and the apartment felt like someone has set off a pepper spray, bear repellent bomb in the place. I make that comparison because I've been in the vicinity of that happening in an enclosed space before. Not pleasant. What happened? Yeah. Those 2 doofuses had made a pasta sauce and added ghost pepper sauce. And not a teaspoon. They added half the bottle. The water reduction as the sauce boiled spread it around the whole apartment. Fortunately for karmic debt purposes, they had punished themselves by actually eating the sauce with some pasta. It was the very least they could do. Their tears were delicious. It took about 3 weeks for the lingering pepper smell and to dissipate. I have a similar story. My family owned a restaurant and our wings were really big deal. We made wing sauce differently than every other place. We had mild and hot and that was it. The hot would probably be a medium at most places, so we would crush up some red pepper flakes in, coat the wing in them, and then put on the sauce for those who wanted it extra spicy. Well, in walks regular customer who always complains that the wings aren't spicy enough. To the point he would tease my dad for the baby spice wings. Well, I had recently gotten a bottle of Mad Dog Pure Capsaicin SP to use for our chili, just to add a little heat and not affect the flavor. This stuff only took a couple of drops to kick up the heat on a 5-gallon batch of chili. So the customer asks, "Are you going to make my wings spicy this time?" So my dad went all out with the crushed pepper sauce, and then put 2 drops of this Mad Dog on each wing. I'm pretty sure the wings took on a bluish color until everything mixed together and sent them out. Now it's important to note that this was a to-go order. About 20 minutes later I get a call and it sounds like someone in serious pain asking for my dad. I put him on the phone and it turns it was the customer. The wings were so spicy he wanted to know what was in there and if he should call poison control or go to the hospital. We told him if he drinks some milk and has some ice cream it should dissipate some, but he will be feeling it for a bit. One good thing to come of this: he never asked for extra spicy wings again. I love very spicy as long as it also has flavor. Pain for pain's sake is no longer my favorite thing, especially since I have undergone the gastric sleeve. I don't want to punish what's left of my stomach. The only time I had a bad reaction to peppers was actually not that spicy of a meal, but it was awful. The bar I performed at, guitar and singing, started a Tuesday night fish taco, California style, with the crispy fried fish, cabbage, etc., which are my fave. Special. I asked the cook if he ever had habanero peppers that he could add to the tacos, and he said sure, he would bring some in. The next Tuesday he brought me my plate of tacos and told me he had given me some habaneros in there like I asked. The plate of 3 tacos was deliciously spicy and I loved every bite. About 30 minutes later, about 45 minutes before I went on stage, it felt like the sun had spawned in my guts. I had to run to the drugstore next door for a bottle of Malicious's and a cold bottle of milk. It finally died down about halfway through my show. Basically 2.5 hours later. At the end of the night, the cook told me he had chopped up 1 whole fresh habanero for each taco. I thanked him, and never asked for habs on my tacos again from him. Not exactly a wing story, but something that might fit in here. When I was in college, A friend of mine got a job working at a USDA farm where, among other things, they were growing some pretty hot peppers. One morning he was tasked to pick some of the peppers. The person he worked for warned him, once you start picking them, don't rub your nose or face until you've washed your hands. He was careful not to rub his nose or face while he was picking the peppers. At lunchtime, a truck came out to take him into the nearby office so he could eat lunch. Because he'd been out in the hot sun, picking peppers, he first went to the men's room to relieve himself of some of the water he'd been drinking all morning. No one told him that he should also wash his hands thoroughly before he urinated. He ended up having to explain to HR why the office receptionist heard him shrieking, and when she went into the men's room in a panic thinking he'd hurt himself, his pants were down and he had Mr. Happy in the sink frantically trying to wash it off. I purchased some ghost pepper candies. Very small pieces, like half the size of a pencil eraser. Now I eat habanero peppers on a regular basis. I can only eat a couple of these candies crushed up on food. I was telling a coworker about this and he wanted to try them. So I put a couple dozen in an old plastic pill bottle for him. I heard he was a bit nervous about eating them, so he decided to smell them first. He took the bottle and popped the cap and took a sniff. Apparently when he shook the bottle it created a bit of dust from the pieces and he got a snoot full. Besides the red teary eyes, he didn't stop sneezing for a half hour. The $20 glass of milk is just chef's kiss. Have you watched We Are the Champions on Netflix? The first one is about the world's hottest pepper eating contest. Ed, who bred the ghost pepper, has made an even hotter pepper variety, and you get to watch people lose their minds. A great and dear friend competed and made it pretty far. She regularly subjects herself to his strange concoctions. We also had a hot sauce shop in the mall near us, and you could sample their deadliest sauce on a chip after signing a waiver. This guy came in boasting he couldn't feel pain. Signed the waiver. Scarfed down the chip. Starting telling us the flavor profiles. Yum. It's a bit smoky with a garlicky hint. Followed by this. He starts sweating. Then a little cough. I'm good. Cough. I just inhaled a cough. Hit wrong. Cough cough. Then he's sweating more. And tells his wife to go grab a drink from the machine. He's fanning his mouth and coughing something awful while still proclaiming between coughs that it is delicious and not hot. He just ate it wrong? Finally he runs out of the store to find out what is taking his wife so long. We follow cause. Well, it's super entertaining. The dollar will not go in the vending machine, it keeps spitting it out. So the man rips it from his wife's hands and tries to force fuck it into the machine with no luck. Then he just turns around and throws up everywhere. He's just standing there in the middle of the mall, bent over. Saliva, tears and pride dripping from his face while he fails his hands for help from his wife, who, mortified self, just left him hanging and disappeared. I like to think that was the straw that broke the camel's back, that she later went and filed for divorce because she couldn't possibly look at him the same. As someone at the opposite end of the pepper heat tolerance scale, black pepper in food makes my mouth tingle. And who is on occasion offered a taste of something not that hot, I am wincing in pain for them, whilst laughing at their pride. The wing was free, but the cup of milk after was $20. I'm wheezing. That's hilarious. Lol, my friend is a spice fiend and would undoubtedly love this. She's not pretentious or rude about it, nor is she prideful, but she would gleefully try that spicy monstrosity. The Reaper pepper was grown in my hometown, so I knew a lot of people with plants. Personally, I'm a weenie. Anything acidic upsets my stomach to begin with. And I don't like pain. But I've heard a lot about how the pepper itself is actually sweet. I don't think I'll ever find out for myself. I enjoy spicy food, but I want flavor with my pain. If it's just pain, I don't want it. The endorphin rush from spicy food is addictive. For the people who really wanted those wings, I don't think you were being malicious. At my local pizza shop you can special order wings with ghost pepper dry rub and a scorpion pepper sauce. I have a love-hate relationship with those wings. I once bought a batch of peppers to make jalapeno poppers at home. They were not jalapenos. The greengrocer defo mislabeled them. While frying them, we couldn't breathe throughout the house. Halfway through prepping, my hands became red and inflamed. I tried every cure the internet had to offer, nothing worked. I went to sleep with my hands on an ice pack that night, and 2 days later it still hurt to put my hands under the warm water in the shower. None of the poppers were eaten. Slight side of our delicious compliance to boot. That $20 glass of milk is the real petty revenge here. Oh, you marvelously evil person. I love the $20 idiot fee for the milk.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.